So
Mm.
you're a speaker, you're a coach, you've built businesses. Let's start with this. How do you personally define success?
Man, to me, success is about what your legacy is going to say when you're no longer here. I don't
Mm.
think you define success in today's moment. I think success tells the story when you can't. And that literally defines everything that I do and why I push myself and others to be the best version of themselves because that legacy will speak for you when you can't.
So you hit on that word because. So let's
Yeah.
let's get to that. We hear so much about finding your why. Why are you doing this?
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense, but
Yeah.
maybe it's gotten a little cliche at a certain point. But you talk about the because. So can you dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, so I love Simon Sinek, and I'm a huge fan of starting with your why, and I think that is literally verbatim what it is. You start with your why,
Mm-hmm.
but there's something deeper. There's something that is the why behind the why behind the why, and I call that your because. Like, what's your real reason that you do the things that you do? What's the real purpose behind who you are and what you're trying to leave behind. And so for me, that's what your because is, right? I could probably guess, Dan, right? Your kids are your why. Your wife, your spouse, your significant other is probably your why. But
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason that you know why those entities, those people are your why. And to me, that's your because.
What have you learned about resilience? Is it something that's just inside some people and isn't in others? Is it something that can be learned?
I don't know if it can be learned. I think resiliency literally is the verb in and of itself. It's the art that we have to continue to practice, right? Like it's actually easier, Dan, as you know, to give up or to stop or to quit something than it is to push through. I think there's a laser focus that people who have gone through things, and all of us have gone through things, right? Whether big or small, everyone's gone through things, but it's that laser focus and that grit, and to me, it's the connection to your because. If you're doing the things that you do for something or someone else for a very specific reason and purpose, that is enough to continue the fight. That's enough to continue to
Yeah,
push. And a lot of times it's just surrounding yourself with the right energy and the right people that are going to support you through that push.
that's great. I wanted to ask you about the Mick factor, your leadership framework. So I love how you created one out of your name, but can you talk us through these five powerful pillars? Because people listening to this, a lot of leaders out there. I think this would be helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Mick factor, as much as I'd love to take credit for it, it was given to me by Les Brown. So Les was like, Mick, there's 4 or 5 things that you've mastered, right? And the first one is mastery. So the M, mastery. And I call it the Bruce Lee effect, right?
Mm,
Bruce Lee said, I fear not the man who practices over 10,000 kicks. I fear the man who practices one kick 10,000 times. And so for me as a leader, what's that one thing that you do really, really well and master that? Like really show up and just continue to develop that one skill. A lot of times we talk about developing our weaknesses. No, true mastery is I've got a strength and I'm just
yeah,
going to continue to magnify this strength, right?
yeah,
So that's the M. The I is impact. And that's something that Robert Irvine has instilled in me. We've talked about Robert a little bit today, but the one thing that he challenged me with was Mick, if what you're doing isn't for impact, then why are you doing it? And so,
mm,
again, as a leader, it shouldn't be about the title you have, it should be about the impact that you generate. And so that's really important.
yep, yep.
And then the C, like there's two, it's courage and it's character, right? Like you've got to have the courage to make tough decisions as a leader, right? But
Mhm.
everything that you do should be done with character. And so that's really important to me. Abraham Lincoln said, your character is like a tree and the leaves, and it's your shadow before anyone sees you. So your character is what people know and see about you before they even see or meet you, right? And so that's really important. And then the K is keep going. It's the resiliency that we just talked about. No
Yeah.
matter what you do, you definitely have to keep going.
I love that. That is so great, and I want maybe spur of the moment, you could come up with a leadership framework around Dan.
I got you. Dan, the decision, you've gotta be able to make it, right? Like, if you can't make a decision and you can't decide on things, it's really not gonna be there. The A is attitude. Attitude reflects leadership. You gotta make sure that you are willing to be present with your attitude and that people see it. Attitude doesn't have to be a bad or a negative thing, right? Like, you can have a positive like, I know Dan, the smile he has, right? Dan's attitude is energetic. In the end, never quit. No matter what you do, never quit, Dan. So make the decision, have a positive attitude, and never quit, brother.
That's
The
awesome.
Dan effect, not the
That
Dan
and that
factor, the Dan effect.
oh my god, and that's off well, trademark that, but that was off the top of the dome right there. That was,
I
that's pretty
rehearsed, I
awesome.
practiced. There you go.
It's a good thing my name isn't, Snuffleupagus. We'd be here for an hour.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, that's great. Are there other things like that that you think people think is a positive, but is actually, like, shooting themselves in the foot?
Dude, I love the fact that you brought this up because I reference this in the book that I have coming out, How to Be a Good Leader When You've Never Had One or Never Seen One. And to me, one of the biggest misnomers in leadership is, oh, well, I've got an open door policy. Really? You do? Or you want people to just come into you, right? A great leader, modern leaders have to be present, right? So you should be meeting your employees where they are. Like you should never have an open door policy. I think
Mm,
another thing that is outdated in leadership is micromanagement that's disguised as, oh, I give my team freedom to do what they want or I empower my team. No, you don't. You're micromanaging, right? Like
yeah,
you're letting the blame go to someone else by saying, I'm empowering you to make this decision. But what you're really doing is micromanaging behind the scenes. And the biggest thing for me, Dan, like if there's anything that anyone gets out of this, is emotional intelligence is real,
mm,
right? Like I'd say old school leaders say, I've got to have the answers, I got to have them now, I've got to respond, and I've got to respond boldly. The modern leader, it's all about emotional intelligence. It's
yeah,
okay to take 5 seconds before I respond. It's
that's
okay
great.
to make sure that my self regulation and that, I'm making this decision by seeing everything that's going on, right? Like when I talk to leaders and we talk about emotional intelligence, I say this thing, right? It doesn't mean that you're going to be emotionless. It just means that you're going to be full and connected to your emotions when you make your decision.
Mm. Oh, that's great. Oh, that's also great. And when you're talking about the fake micromanagement, I always think sometimes when I'm talking to people, maybe if it's in a live setting and someone's talking about like what you just said, I give my people the freedom to make decision, and you see like there are people in the background rolling their eyes,
Right,
like
right.
that is absolutely not happening. So that's such a great point.